So I'm just going to continue with the Astro Doodles, see if a few folks show up. We've already got a few bookings already. Thank you, Gregory, Jasmine, and Tina. I'm not sure if Tina's here yet. I'm just checking the chat right now. Hold on. There's Jasmine. Yep, got it, Jasmine. Got it, Gregory. Thank you so much. So you're up. And I'm just going to finish the doodle here for a minute. So give me a moment. And then we'll get on with it. So I need just a few more moments, thank you. Alright, let's leave it like that. And that's enough to get us going. That's enough to get us going. Thank you very much. Phew! Man, I keep forgetting how tricky it is doing these astrodoodles sometimes. Especially when you have a lot of little conjunctions, sextiles, trines, oppositions all going on simultaneously. Very tricky. This is a really, I would say it's a really complex chart. Again, I'm just doing the basics, you know, and it's not going to I'm just going to give you a few notes on this from my personal perspective. As you know, I give myself a lot of wiggle room when I do these interpretations. Good evening and welcome, by the way. Hello, there's Tina as well. Yeah, you know what? Before we get, let's do it right now. We've got a reading booked for Jasmine. And we have Gregory. Ross. Okay. And then we have Tina over here. Alright, so that's pretty much good to go. I'll put this aside for a moment. Okay, so I'm going to stay off the doom and gloom. There's enough of that going around now. In case you haven't noticed, especially if you're, if you're following this channel, then you might be interested in some of the things that I follow outside of my channel and things like that. And it's interesting how many of the channels that I follow outside my channel have all started to suffer the same stuff that I've been dealing with for years, and they've been crushed. Hello, Tina Sudlakwi. I don't know if I said that right. Tina Sudlakwi. Okay, hi Tina. Nice to meet you. Welcome. I've got 3 readings booked already, okay? We haven't even started yet, so just be aware. I've got room for maybe 1 more, but after that, I tend to run out of steam after about 4 readings. So if anybody wants a reading, now is the time to book it. Some folks, if you get on my email, like Tina, for example, Tina Sudlakwi, for example, in the future, if you want to book a reading in advance, here's what I would recommend. You go over to terraillumination.com and you subscribe to the channel, and that'll mean load up your email, basically. Tell us your email, and then I'll load that into the constant contact mailing service that I use to tell everybody what's going on. And then you can know about the shows in advance, and then you can book in advance, and it just makes life easier. Now, people sometimes, I don't recommend the super chat anymore, because the money will never reach me, because I don't really get paid anymore on any of my videos, even if they're monetized. It's very, very frustrating, and so I don't know what to do except ask for donations, you know. So best way to donate is, one way is go to terraillumination.com. Like if you're watching the show right now on a computer, you could open up another tab, go to terraillumination.com, hit the donate page, and use the payment processor that comes up there through PayPal, and you can just swipe a card. It's very, very, very common process these days. And the other way is that if you've already got PayPal and you're already a PayPal user, oh my gosh, if you're already, I just saw that, Jasmine. Oh my God, wow. If you're already a PayPal user, then you can send PayPal direct to my personal email here, a little book about at yahoo.com. Okay, it's covered up by Jasmine's over there. Okay, a little book about at yahoo.com. Does everybody see that in the chat there? Jasmine Gray just had a baby, and I'm going to book a reading for his natal chart. Oh my God, that's going to be so freaking awesome. Oh my God, what a joy, what an honor. My goodness, thank you so much. There's no rush. You can take your time. You got to take care of your little blob, and we can just gently work into this. It's going to be fun. Awesome. Thank you, Desmond. So, yeah. So, if anyone wants, I've got room for, let's just be honest, I can only handle one more reading anyway. I haven't even started yet, but that's about where we are. So, if somebody wants one, there's a spot here, okay? Oh, thank you, Jasmine. I see that on the chat. Very, very kind. You're very sweet. Thank you. So, let me just get over here to the Astrodoodle for a moment. You know how I usually fill up with huge blobs of red ink, or maybe some blobs of big green? It's actually a real tumbler at the moment. The planets are well spaced out, except for a couple of little hot spots here. And it's leaving a lot of room for each planet to have its own little microcosm of, you know, trines and sextiles and oppositions and so on, and squares and everything. So I had to be really careful. This is an example of what it looks like of me being very careful on an Astrodoodle, because normally it's a big blurry mess once I finished, and I only put in the basics because that's really all I do. I think the basics are more than enough to help people with the astrology. So the real hot spot, as far as I'm concerned right now, is over here. I've been talking about it for a few weeks, when Mars conjoins Uranus. Okay, look, here's Mars, here's Uranus, and here's the North Node right in the middle. It's going to be around 19 degrees or so when the actual conjunction happens. Let me see if I can show you right here, to be precise. Okay, so here we are. This is the ephemeris for July. I'm actually marking it out as August 1st is the hotspot date. You can see it, if you look very, very carefully, you can see it 18.04, 18.41. That's about as close as it's going to get to a perfect conjunction. So we got about, what, a week. We're looking at about a week from now, and the build-up is going to build up. It's going to build up. Now, this is already a very hot square right here. Very, very challenging, and it's all about the global financial system. I don't want to go blabbering on about that today. I've talked about it enough. I don't want to scare people. I'm just going to note that there's going to be, please expect some radical unfoldings and almost like, I would say, shocking, revolutionary storylines that are going to start to unfold in the global financial world, which is going to affect everybody on planet Earth. Okay? Now, of course, that tracks back to the United States Federal Reserve banking system and the European Central Bank and all of those folks at the very tippity top of the elites who control and own and operate everything on planet Earth. And as you know, I've talked about it, they have this big agenda called the Great Reset and things like that. I'm not going to dwell on it, but there's lots of different names going around. And they're at a point where, in order for them to do what they do and get what they want out of the masses, they have to show their faces. And that's what's happening. And it's very, very ugly. They're trying to present it as something absolutely beautiful. In other words, typically, vote for me and I will save you. And all these wonderful things that we're going to do to help you and save the planet. Believe me, the story is extremely dark and sinister and anything but to do with helping you or me or anybody. So anyway, enough about that. So what's interesting to me is you can't see it on this chart right now. I know there's the Aries big fat thing over here with Venus, and that's, what I really want to do is jump over here to the Sun in Leo and Mercury in Leo, because we just entered Leo season for about 30 days. That's this period here, okay? That's going to be the Leo season. Hey Path, good evening. It's Leo season, Path Traveler. Now, as we go through the Leo season, what's going to happen is the Sun is going to move this way and start to align in a really tight square with Uranus, okay? Even as Mars cruises around here on a tight square, on a tight conjunction with Uranus. So this is not going to move much, okay? This is not going to move much. This isn't going to move too much. Mercury's going to go zooming along over here. The Sun's going to move over here. So the thing that I'm looking at is basically this thing here. It's going to be like this. It's going to be a freaking it's a mess. We'll do it when we'll talk about it when it happens. But I just want to keep people appraised. It's coming up fairly soon. There's going to be a massive T-square with Aquarius energy opposing Leo energy, and hard squaring with the Taurus energy, and it's going to be to do with global financial systems, all about what's happening. It's almost like a battleground, like a very, very subtle, invisible battle between real money and fake money. The money about we, the people, us and our money, as opposed to the money where we stash all our money, which is typically in the banks. And you might not be aware of it, but things are extremely unstable in the global banking system right now, especially in China. And as China gets more and more unstable at home, then they're going to become more and more belligerent on the world stage. Here we are. There's the world stage. They're gonna start pushing themselves around like a big bully. You have to be very, very careful. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. If anybody, well, look, it looks like we've already got a full-on personal reading booked here. This is awesome. It's for a little baby. Yes, actually, Path, yes, Scorpios will be affected too, because if you look at it this way, Scorpios over here, Scorpios are going to be facing a massive T-square over here. There's the top. Okay, there's the opposition, and then there's the T. So it's going to be a little bit nerve-wracking. Hello, Necessary. Good evening. So let me just go over here a second. Should be able to check in. Yes, here we are. Good evening. It is evening, late evening, well, mid-evening. It's evening in sunny, hot Las Vegas. And please stay hydrated. You have to drink a lot of water. The United States is going through some really extreme climate stuff right now. Again, think of Mars conjoined Uranus around 18 degrees, 19, 20 degrees, okay? Things are going to be really flaring up. Please don't be surprised to hear more about volcanoes, fires, explosions, and lightning, and all sorts of Uranian-type spark, surprise, electrical, crazy stuff going on, okay? Yeah, I'm not focusing too much on Jupiter at the moment. I just wanted to give a bit of alert about that big T square centered around Taurus. Okay? So, someone pointed out earlier, it's heavily emphasizing the fixed signs. That would be Leo, Aquarius, Scorpio, and Taurus, okay? But in fact, it affects everybody, okay? It's just a question of degree. You could be a really hardcore multi-stellium Leo, but you might have a really hot spot in Taurus or Leo or Aquarius. It's going to affect you. You could be a Virgo or a Gemini. It's still going to affect you, okay? Japan just had an earthquake 5.0. Yeah, okay. Oh. Anyway, life goes on and life will go on. There are so many scary scenarios unfolding right now, and certain folks are, they're reading this as the apocalypse and the end of the end, the beginning of the end. I don't particularly see it that way. I just see it as massive growing pains as we go through a very highly predictable Pluto cycle that happens every 200 and whatever it is, 48 years. If you think of it as a cycle, 1, 2, 3, 4. Every 248 years, roughly, it does its own loop, okay? And that's a Pluto return. It's very interesting how the Pluto return for the United States is coinciding with an extremely vicious Pluto return for the whole of planet Earth. Partly it's because Pluto is at 27 degrees Capricorn, which is the birth degree retrograde for the United States, which is very close to the 29th degree, which is the anaretic degree, which is the critical degree for any sign. And so that's going to be stretching out over the next year and a half, 2.5, 3 years. That's what the transit's going to look like over a couple of degrees. Of course, with the moon, a couple of degrees happens in a few hours, not a few years, okay? What's that? Necessary truth? No, it sucks. I want to be a Leo in my next life. Right, okay. Yeah, Gregory's pregnant! Go, Gregory! What's that? Love Driver was telling me that there's new news coming out about the definition of a woman. I have a definition of a woman, but I'm not going to put it here on this channel. I'm not going to talk about this stuff, but it's very funny and it's very amusing, all the stuff that's coming about, all these stories with gender, let's say, the gender spectrum. In the old days, of course, it's basically guys and girls and a few folks in the middle who are, technically speaking, hermaphrodites. Those are folks who have mixed up privates. Okay? It happens. It's a little mutation. It's a form of mutation, just like everyone else. Some people have really bad eyesight or something. Some people they're born with certain ailments or conditions. It happens to your privates as well. Not everybody, but anyway. So, Gregory's pushing. Oh, yeah. Go, Gregory. Yeah. Yeah. It actually is a spectrum. It's this side, and there's everything else in between. And everybody knows where they stand. Some people don't. Some people start over here and they think, I want to be all the way over there. Some people start here, they want to be all over there. Some people are perfectly happy the way they are. Some people are naturally born in the middle. There you go. It is a spectrum. Yes. Montana weather is great. Yeah. Okay, we're all moving up. Party time. It's party time tonight. Okay, at 6 p.m. we'll be done here. 8 p.m. we'll all head up to Tina's place tonight. Everybody bring a 6-pack and some sparkling water, some towels, some picnic food, a sleeping bag. That's all you need. and plenty of gasoline money. So to the question, it is actually Starzy. Where is she? Where's no, it's Jasmine. Where okay, okay, so yeah, it's Jasmine. I'm going back in the chat now. Jasmine just had her baby, and she's gonna book a full-on reading for it's a boy, his natal chart. This is gonna be awesome. Anyway, so that everybody who's listening right now, Jasmine Gray just had her baby boy, brand new baby boy, straight out of the box. Wow. Have you done the unwrapping yet? The unboxing? Yeah, got to do a YouTube unboxing video. Yeah, you could get 100,000 views in 10 minutes. You never know. Yeah. Tina Miller would like a chart with less squares. Well, let's see if we can organize that. We can only do that pre-birth. Wow. I don't know how to do that. Oh my gosh, we got a bunch of comedians here tonight. Yep. Comedians. It's our Lumination comedy show. Yep. Yeah, sometimes I tend to be very dark and serious and doom and gloom and the planets are this, planets are that. You gotta watch out for this, you gotta watch out for that. I get it. Yeah. Sometimes I make myself sick of myself. You know. She got the job! Oh my God. Background check, of course. Wink, wink. You're going to be fine. I was going to get in touch. I was just itching. I was just itching to know. But I didn't want to ask. I was waiting for like a next week or a week after until Tina got notice, and then she would inform us. This is a very, very big deal. We're having an awesome evening. We haven't even started with the readings yet. Now, sorry. Doesn't mean the readings are all going to be awesome. Well, the readings are awesome. It doesn't mean that the storyline or the messages or the whatevers are going to be awesome. Sometimes we have very tough messages that come out here. But what better way to do that as amongst friends, you know? Just imagine we're all sitting around the campfire right now. You're all hydrated. You've all got your little secret stash of your own favorite beverages. A little flask of this, a little flask of that, a fancy glass of this, a bottle of that, a can of that. Got all our picnic gear. We're all set up in Tina's backyard, and we're all getting Tarot Illumination readings live. The babies are going to be bouncing around on the grass. Tarot Illumination's over there on the side, scrabbling around with the cards. Blah, 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 with each client as we go along. Wouldn't that be just amazing? Just amazing. Thank you, Tina. 3,000 sign-on. Woo! Oh, my God. Oh, my gosh. Oh, my gosh. This is a really precious moments. Welcome. Welcome to the party, precious. Yes, there is room. Come on in. The 28th is coming. Oh no, what's that? The 28th is coming. I've handed in my court defense. I'm getting nervous. Oh my God. Well, precious, don't worry. You're here with a very, very capable attorney. Wink, wink. So yeah, I think everybody is aware that dear Precious has been in a very dire situation. Precious Moments, like Tina, is a highly qualified nurse. Precious lives in Canada over in Edmonton, and she didn't want to get any of those needle things, and so she was let go from her very important job. And then shortly afterwards, she lost her apartment. and had to move in a shelter with her kids. There you go. How's that for vote for me and I will save you? There's the Canadian government at full blast. Okay? So Precious is fighting in court to get, let's say, justice. To get justice. Yep. Yeah. Well, you should be nervous. It's very, very scary going to court, Precious. It's really scary. Your legs are shaking. It's understandable. So I don't know how to fix that. Maybe get up and walk around a little bit. Shake them. I don't do it much anymore, but not right now anyway. But I used to do these very, very vigorous, like I would say, alternative yoga things, which would involve very, very, very vigorous shaking of my legs, especially in different sections. In fact, I would sit there and work on each part of my leg. It also helps to get the lymphatic system moving. Start with the upper thigh, then at the back of the knee, wiggling around to get all the lymphatic fluids going there, and then in the calf, and then down to the ankles and the whole foot itself. And the foot gets very complicated. And you could spend an hour a day doing what I do, but I don't do it much right now. I've got other things that I have to do. Yes, I can play bounce today. And one of the ER docs was involved in SIR. Oh, search and rescue. ER, emergency room. Wow, Tina, it sounds like you're going to be in good company with good people. How sweet. 28th. So today is the 24th, 25, 26, 27, 28. So it's Thursdays. Coming up on Thursday. So obviously, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. No problem at all. That's it. No more bookings. That's it. We're up to the max. Okay, let me go over here and sort that out, and we'll get started with the show. Hello, Karen. Down in well, it would be, let's see, early afternoon in New Zealand. Kia ora. Welcome, Karen. By the way, gosh, everybody, I got to see a real close-up of some of the artwork in Karen's gallery. It's just beautiful. It's just supreme artisanal craftsmanship. Okay, let's have a look over here. All right, so Precious, you have to be patient. Okay. Precious is getting a reading. Thank you, Tina. Oh my gosh. All right, so I don't need this anymore. We don't need this anymore tonight, okay? Tina, the fires there. Oh, you got fires in Montana? Helena? Gate of the Mountains near me, just north of Helena. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay, let me see if I can find this. No, give me a second, folks. I'm just my poor little computer. I brag about it because I think it's an awesome computer. But these days it's starting to show its age. It's a powerful computer, but not anymore. Let's see if this comes up. Okay, this should. Come on. It's an MP3. Okay. Oh gosh, all sorts of stuff coming up on it. Where is it on my effing computer? Give me a second, folks. I'm really PO'd. I want to actually see if I can. How can I find this? Continual song. Here, let me go over here. Okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. Let's see what happens, folks. Come on, you can do it, little computer. You can do it.
This is called the bounce.
Yeah.
I did it! Way out in Tokyo, even in old Moscow, in some parts of Trinidad, I remember the good times I had. All along the Great Wall of China, on the decks of ocean liners, with the Incas up in the Andes, way out in Los Angeles. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. I smoked powwow with Geronimo. I've been downtown with nowhere to go. I made peace between the West and East, and I've met Beauty and the Beast. I swam around the great equator. I started out sooner than later. I've been out to both of the poles, and I know where you don't grow old. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce. Let's bounce.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you're not sweating, you're off. I don't know.
We got the words.
There must
We
be
got the
something
lyrics.
wrong with you.
Let's just see if we can hear it.
There we go. Wow. Yeah. Fires, man, yeah. Big fires in California. Oh my God, it's just a freaking firestorm with tinder boxes all over planet Earth right now, just going up in flames. I mean, I'm sure some of you have heard about it. All the massive heat wave all over here in Northern Europe, massive heat wave up here, over here in China, over here in India, over here Australia, Africa. Everything's getting fried alive over here. Fried alive. We're getting weird, totally weird stuff over here. Now remember, we just had a massive solar flare that landed on planet Earth. I didn't feel it personally, so it doesn't mean other people didn't. But yeah, there's things like solar flares. There's also that very complicated stuff about grand solar maximums and grand solar minimums to do with solar cycles. And there's other solar cycles inside solar cycles and outside solar cycles, which have very powerful influences and effects on the weather. Much bigger than anything that we can do ourselves here. So you have to factor that in as well. Things like ice ages and tropical ages and so on, where I mean, there were times on planet Earth where things were like, literally, it didn't look anything like this at all. These are all the tectonic plates the way they are arranged right now, but all this stuff has been here for about 4.5 billion years, but rearranged in a different jigsaw. And today, what looks like planet Earth right now is pretty much how it looked for most of the history of hominids. 150,000 back, and then way back, the early hominins, like 2 or 3 million years ago. It looks pretty similar to this, just slight variations. And this is pretty much all that humanity has ever known. But in fact, it has been very, very different, with extremely different climates. Okay, but anyway. So we're looking at this stuff here. Let me go back to this for a moment. This is a real hotspot trigger point for climate issues right now. So just be aware of that. Above and beyond normal, just highly volatile, highly unpredictable, sometimes very scary stuff, sometimes very beautiful things, you know, like in outer space, the James Webb Telescope and things. It's amazing. Yeah. Okay. Oh, look! I'm looking at the at the chat there. It says New Mexico has monsoon season. We have fire season. Tina Miller, 5 seasons. We have fire season. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Prayers for moisture. Oh my gosh. Yeah. All right. Let's get on with it, folks. Showtime. I'm going to put this aside. We'll see what happens later. Actually, let's tuck all of this away. I don't really need the marker box anymore. At least not for now. Yeah, basically right now it is Leo season for about the next 28 days or so. So, you know, anyone out there who's Leos, you might enjoy the periods when the moon is in Sagittarius or Aries and things like that. Yeah, let me just do a quickie thing here. Since this is Leo season, this little green line here is very, very nice for you guys. Okay, so just might as well enjoy it while you can. But also for the Leo folks, the Taurus folks, the Aquarius folks, and the Scorpio folks, please be prepared for in about 10 days, 2 weeks or so, for things to get really kind of crunchy. I don't know how else to describe it. It might be a lot of pressure. I know that the way I feel things with the planet, it feels like pressure or release of pressure. I was trying to explain to someone about how, you know, the planets and the geometry work and the vibrational pulls and why certain extreme things happen sometimes. Because little planet Earth, in our view, everything revolves around us, and sometimes we get pulled over, or slightly over this way outside of a perfect orbit, and that has a profound effect on climate. Now we just had the okay. Oh my God, Tina, that's scary. 30 active wildfires in Montana. All right. Anyway, Jasmine, here we go. You're up. Oh, look at this. It seems to work much better when I put the post-it notes this way up. I never knew that. Wow, that's so cool. I love my post-it notes. All right, let's tuck all this over here. Let's see, we can do that. That should be good enough. That should get us started. Put this over here. And let's have a beverage. All right, Jasmine. Jeepers, I just guzzled 2/3 of this. I need more. Okay, here we go. Now, cards are well shuffled from previous use. And now we're going to dive in. Okay, so brace yourselves. Sit on your hands if you have to, or relax. Some people are curled up on their beds or sitting at their desks. Some people, do you remember Gabby Statursky? She has disappeared. She didn't like my politics and stuff, but she used to watch everything on the big screen, live. And I didn't know how to do it at the time. I know how to do it now, but they call it casting. Casting from your phone direct onto the big screen. Yeah. Yep, okay. All right, let's have a look, see what's going on. Jasmine, first of all, of course, congratulations. You're a very brave person. Very brave person. Got a brand new little baby boy. He's going to get his own little chart. Wow. That's so cool. That's very rare. Do you know how many children in America are gifted their own tarot illumination astro reading? It's very, very rare. It should be mandatory. Every child born should be given a tarot illumination astro reading. Now, of course, I don't predict the future, but I can give you some insight, an overview, a perspective. All right, this is basically set up. We're good to go. Now, Jasmine, I didn't see any notes there, so we're going to just go blind. Do blind reading if you don't mind. What kind of messages do we have for Jasmine tonight? Nothing to do with her baby, all to do with Jasmine herself. Now that Jasmine has a new baby, Jasmine has to put a lot of energy into taking care of herself, of course, to be the best she can be for the baby. So it's very, very, very important. Your wealth is in your health, okay, Jasmine? Your wealth is in your health. I learned that from Kelly Rosano. She's one of the pioneers of YouTube astrology. Amazing astrologer. All right, let's have a look, see what we got. Here's the situation. Now, anything could come up, all right, Jasmine? Okay. Here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenge. Here's how we're going to handle it. Oh, hanging out. Let's have a look. Oh my gosh! I need to know more about him. Well, he's a Cancer Sun, Aries Moon, Cancer Rising. Wow, actually that's quite powerful. Alright, let's see what kind of messages we got here. Blind is good. Yes, thank you so much, Jasmine. It really helps me. It's just like an extra fun bonus. It means like I kind of get to show off, or I get to just have a complete open board on which I can work, okay? Yes, Mom needs a reading. Okay, here we go. Look at that. Wow. So when I see the Temperance here, my feeling is that this is very much to do with the motherhood aspect, and it's something to do with just what I was talking about, where decisions, very, very important things happen in relationships in the process of decision making. You and the other and you. Now, of course, this is a very blessed situation. Let's see if the cameras can pick it up. Look at that. Look at that. The fruit of the loins. So, my feeling here is that it's probably nothing much to do with the astrology at all. So I'm not going to bring up the chart. My feeling here is the message is that whatever the astrology is what it is right now. But what's really important for you, Jasmine, is to understand a few things about the mother-child relationship. Now, I don't have any kids of my own, okay, Jasmine, please understand, but I've kind of been a foster parent to seven children, different situations and so on, and had to be like a foster parent and so on. So I can have like an objective viewpoint that certain biological relationship dynamics are not afforded. So, when I see this for you, Jasmine, my feeling it's a very, very important message about maintaining the distinction of relationships. I've seen it happen enough times where a parent lives through the child, or the child takes over ownership of the parent. And that can be debilitating in the long run. I don't want to send out any super bad vibes, but what I'm sensing here is that it's very, very important to make very, very clear decisions very, very early on, that there's an absolutely profound distinction between you and the little fellow. Okay? Has to be respected. Even at this very early stage where he's completely and utterly dependent on you, he is still a complete, unique, and individual being, and that's how he will grow. And children pick up energy even before they're born. They pick up energy from within the womb. They can sense it in advance, their environment. They can hear things, especially, and they can feel things, and they can sense things in the tone of the mother, and so on. The language and conversation. I mean, they hear a lot, and they sense a lot. Like little babies in the womb that are born with a very loving environment, they can sense that. Okay, and it happens through a lot of it through the voice and the hearing, and also if they're raised in an environment of extreme hostility and yelling and abusiveness, they can sense that as well. That would be like screaming and yelling and so on. Anyway, I feel the message here is like, please understand like what a miracle it is, what an outrageous miracle it is to be able to make new people. Like you hook up with another human being and you make a new person. It's the most mind-boggling thing. It's just truly, truly mind-boggling. A lot of it happens unconsciously or on autopilot for a lot of people. And it's done in a very, very organic, natural way, and it just unfolds the way it does. A lot of cultural influences and things. But not a lot of people talk about childhood and children and parenting and families the way that I would do in a reading or in a personal one-on-one conversation with you as an adult in a room, okay? So it's very, very important here. I believe the message is, Jasmine, as a new mom, having a new baby boy, it's very, very important to understand that this little character is complete already, fully complete. And they will be powerfully influenced by you with imprinting. And like the most loving imprint you can obviously offer is pure nurture, basically to allow the child to be the child, and to recognize the strengths and the weakness, and to nurture the strengths, and to try and curb any weakness, and like growing a plant, and so on and so on. And so, because it's a very, very easy, it's almost like a trap for a parent to be sucked into this sometimes very deliciously satisfying relationship between a parent and a child, where the parent is like compulsively drawn into living their life through the child, like projecting expectations onto the child, whereas the child actually is already like perfect in its own way and has a life path to live. And really what a child really needs is good parenting, good nurturing, and food, water, shelter, education, and guidance. That's all I'm saying. It's nothing good about that, but it's almost like you got to protect yourself from the child, because the child has immense 24/7 needs that are going to be ever present, and you will feel them, and you of course will have an intense 24/7 needs from the child, and everything can get very, very blurry. That's very, very normal, but it's very important to maintain really good boundaries, just as though you were dealing with an adult, and maintain high levels of respect of boundaries and focus more on the nurture itself. Live and let live. What's the situation itself? Oh wow, look at this Queen of Swords energy here. My feeling is this is very much about protection. It's sort of to do with, you know how the Queen of Swords can sometimes have a pretty scary reputation for chopping off heads and slicing up people that do not comport to her standards. And well, there's other ways you can interpret Queen of Swords energy in a situation like this, where to me it feels like it's more about to do with protection, like the protection of motherhood, where it's going to be like, let's say for example, you start to notice very early on that your little boy happens to be very perhaps sensitive or something. I mean, obviously with the Cancer, was it Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising? By definition, he's going to be very, very sensitive. Very Cancerian. Those are a lot of feminine traits as well. Okay? And those need to be factored in. He might be, for example, extremely vulnerable to external influences, to other people, to other siblings or friends and family, and so on and so on. And he might need a lot of protection above and beyond normal. You know how some parents feel that they need to throw their child into the life, into the world, and just dose them up with stress and challenge and turn them into super babies, and they have to learn to walk within a matter of minutes, and they have to learn calculus and trigonometry before, hardly before they can speak, and all that kind of crazy stuff. That's not healthy as far as I'm concerned. My feeling here with the Queen of Swords is that you might be in a situation finding yourself that you have to be very, very protective of your boy, and making sure that he is literally fiercely protected and guarding, and nothing, no danger will come to this little boy, okay? Any threats to the little boy, whether they're, you're a mom, you will obviously have very powerful radar about people, situations, or whatever it is. Over time, as he starts to take on a character and a personality, and his nature grows, the maternal instinct will become very, very powerful. And I would say in this case, it needs to be very powerful. The maternal instinct needs to be, like, sometimes it needs to be very, very nurturing. Sometimes, obviously, you're going to be a good parent nurturing the child. But it looks to me like there's something even more important, which is to do with protection. Especially if the child ends up having certain hallmarks that make him, like, hypersensitive, okay? And we'll see that in the chart eventually. Now, let's see, what are the problems here? Okay, now, I don't see this as too severe with the Nine of Cups, because it already sounds from the tone on the chat that you're already a happy mom, okay? And with the Nine of Cups, it makes me feel that the only downside at the moment would be the, let's say, the possibilities of having reduced levels of me time for you personally, Jasmine, to be totally immersed in your own personal happiness, which would be nothing to do with the father or any close family, or perhaps any siblings or extended family or anything. So, and that does happen, because when a mother, especially a mother compared to a father, but it happens to mothers and fathers, but when the mother has a newborn, it can require vast amounts of time, energy, and resources of the mother. I mean, the mother can sometimes barely sleep. And the mother is essentially on call, on demand, 24/7, at least in the very, very early months, even sometimes the very early years. And that can be very depleting. Typically, I've known women who are very strong, and they rise up to it, and they become even more capable as human beings than before having the child. But also at the same time, there can be this like scary, almost like shock, like, oh my God, I don't have any time for my own happiness. How am I supposed to be happy in myself? Well, that's an understandable fear. I don't know if it's going to be valid in this situation. It might simply be fear, that's all. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. But let me think about this for a second. Right. I knew there was something else. Sorry, Jasmine. I don't usually get these like blackout moments, but I knew there was something else. Here's what it is. It's kind of a combination of things we've been talking already, and it's definitely to do with yourself and your new baby. Sometimes, like the arrival of a new baby, just like when you have new pets and so on, or new dogs meet new cats and whatever, there can be extreme territorial disruptions inside the family, where if there was a pre-established status quo of happiness, and then all of a sudden that is disrupted because of the new arrival, yes, that can be a problem. Okay, just have to remember that. And what's that joke? What's that joke I learned from some really good parents that I knew? Hold on, give me a second. I want to check in with you personally, Jasmine, right here. This is something I used to kind of mess with. When I was raising these kids, it was kind of random stuff, and I was pretty comfortable with the kids. They were very comfortable with me. I have a little bit of a maternal streak. I can't help it. I get all mushy. Even with some of the really tricky kids, you can still have a soft, warm, fuzzy feeling. But you can definitely spot when there's like territorial and turf wars and disruptions in the status quo. Like if there's other little kids or nieces or nephews or a husband or a spouse or a male partner. For example, classic thing, sometimes the male parent is like, feels, if you look at the chart, if you look at the reading, suddenly divorced, neglected, and then there's unhappiness. Like, well, what about me? I made the kid with you. I mean, don't want to go into the dynamics of how the baby was made, who parented the baby with you, and all that. But all I'm suggesting here is that there was this little second layer to the reading when I didn't understand what it was, and I ended up in this pause. But it's definitely to do with how the new arrival can really unhinge certain people and relationships. Okay, so you've got to be aware of that. It's not the end of the world, but you have to be aware of that. And so that it doesn't turn into a bigger problem than it has to be. Sometimes it's not a problem at all. Every family is unique, and sometimes everybody just blends in like little happy little animals on a sanctuary. They all seem to love each other. It's wonderful, but it doesn't always work that way. Sometimes there can be intense jealousy and rival and sudden disappearance of happiness in a certain other person or a certain other child that's directly related to a new baby in the household. So that's just a little thing I'm sensing there, okay? Just mentioning that. All right, I don't see a lot of problems here, but I think these are subjects that I'm really glad that they're showing up in the reading, Jasmine, because it's just so easy to do everything on autopilot. I mean, that's natural. 95% of being the mother is going to be on autopilot, where you have to do the feeding, the cleaning, the nurturing, the caretaking. You need your time, your rest, your healing, and so on, and everything has to be done properly. And a lot of that, thank God, you can rest on the autopilot, the DNA. It's built into our system. But still, it helps to have kind of advanced sort of insider information like we're kind of getting here. So how are we going to proceed? Well, my first feeling was allow the dream to unfold. Okay, with the Cancer rising, Cancer sun, that's a very strong, super, let's say, sensitive, like energy field. And it may be very, very, let's say, difficult to find definition in the early days. You've said here, like, it looks like he's a very sweet child, a very beautiful child. Hello, Ivona. We're catching up. So, my feeling is that if the child shows signs of being very, very dreamy or spacey, or if let me do this in parts. If the child, if it's a very beautiful child, and over time he starts to exhibit characteristics of being very, very dreamy, very spacey, I don't see that as a problem. It's just like you've given birth to a Cancer sun, Cancer rising baby, and they can be very, very sensitive and they might need extra nurturing to the point where you don't know what to do and the baby doesn't know what to do. The other thing here I'm sensing is that it's very, very important to stay on this. I don't want to tell you how to live your life, Jasmine, but it feels to me like it's very important to stay away from any type of intoxicants. Even the slightest intoxicants. I have an issue with this myself. As you know, almost everybody here knows that I love to have my glass of wine and a little sip of whiskey, a little bit of vodka, a little bit of beer, and so on. But I'm at a point in life right now where even the slightest amounts have an impact on me that are not good. As much as I love them, I've always kind of kidded to myself, it's part of my health care. It's a perfectly natural thing to do. Makes me feel like it might be hard to do this, but as the parent of a very sensitive child, HSP, let me point this out. Let me go, give me a second, Jasmine. I think I've showed this on the show many times before. This is from the 80s, way back in the 80s. And Barbara Brennan talks about children and babies and adults and teenagers and as they grow through life. And I'm not going to go into any kind of details. But once you discover that you or a close one or a loved one or a friend or a child or a newborn is very, let's say a little bit different. And they show signs of being very sensitive. You have to kind of be like extra careful about nurturing the child. For example, a classic example with the Cancer Sun, Cancer Rising, he might grow up to be very psychic, okay? We're not even doing a reading on him here right now, okay? But it wouldn't be at all surprising. And he might already be absorbing life in the world around him in a very, very kind of psychic, spiritual, dreamy kind of way. And it's very, very important for the little boy to let that unfold without interference. Like if the behavior seems strange and weird, like, oh my gosh, he's staring into space, or like he's crying at nothing, or he looks like he's seeing things, Like there's Boo Boo the cat over here. I swear to God, Boo Boo the cat over here sees things every now and again. Now it might be the ghosts of other little cats that used to live here. I don't know what it is, or ghosts of other pets. I don't know. I've never had a full-on contact. But what I'm sensing here, the way that this is that please understand that your little baby boy is probably HSP, high sensory perception. Okay? And it's probably for life. That's just how they are. It'll show up in the chart later on when we do the big reading. And so it becomes very, very incumbent on you as the mother to protect this child and to make sure that you keep yourself in very, very good health, very, very good shape, very, very good condition. For example, if you're like me, Jasmine, and you like to have a little sip of any of those beverages, or a toke on a smoking device or anything like that, that can, I don't know, have like a secondary influence, okay? But this little child cannot afford to be around any kind of intoxicants, okay? And I think it's important that for yourself, you can't afford to be living at the mercy of intoxicants, okay? This is a very, very dreamy card. Literally, let the dream unfold. It's literally like your child is symbolic of let the dream unfold. It's going to be a very interesting journey. I hope we get to work together for many years to come, Jasmine. Every year we can check in, see how little fella's doing. Something like that. Okay, oh, that's fantastic. Okay, well, that makes me feel very, very confident. But again, it's very important for you to stay very observant, just as observant as he is being, because there's obvious signs already that he is HSP, high sensory perception, high sensory perception being. Okay, that's a big baby. Oh my God. I was a big baby at around 9 pounds, but 10 pounds, my God. Yeah. All right, so let's leave it. Thank you, Jasmine. I hope that helps you. I think we got some very important little nuggets out there. It's very early days yet, but the message is very clear. Okay? Thank you so much. Up next, we've got Gregory. Gregory, thank you so much for the side notes. Very, very important. I see your notes there, Jasmine. Very, very important. The little boy needs to be very clear that his mama loves him, and even if his mama isn't right there 24/7, his mama still loves him. And as a little rising Cancer Sun baby boy, he might feel there might be moments where he feels very frightened during episodes of separation. So just be appraised. Oh, well done. You've stopped. Yeah, that's good. That's good. You can't afford, you cannot, with this little boy, you can't use, you can't use the cannabis near him. Okay, you can't let the smoke or anything go near him. Okay? Thank you, Gregory. That's very supportive. Look at Gregory. Yeah, but outside the house. Yeah, because I agree, Gregory. You're outside the house. So Jasmine would be outside the house or outside or somewhere at friends or taking an hour off from being a mom and going to work or whatever. But yeah, it has to stay. You cannot have anything toxic near this little boy. Cigarette smoke, alcoholic fumes, smoke from weed, anything like that. Oh, Jasmine. Oh, Jasmine, by the way. I've seen this happen. Please don't feed your baby on things like Coca-Cola and Mountain Dew. Some people do that, okay? Just pure water and classic healthy food. You can't have any kind of stimulants, downers, mind-altering substances in any of the beverages. No Red Bull, okay? None of that stuff. You can't have any of it. Obviously, pure water is probably the best thing. And no overstimulation with over sugar. Too much sugar will be a really not good. It can just. Anyway, I'm not a doctor. Okay. Look at that. Look at the notes there. Oh my God, we're getting some fantastic support here on the team. Fantastic. Thank you, Jasmine, so much. I think you've got about as much as you can get out of this mini reading. All right, Gregory, let's see what's going on. Oh, wow. That was fantastic. No druggy boyfriends around you, her son. Oh, God. Yes, I make my husband smoke weed outside, not even in the garage. Okay, yeah. Do not bring that weed close to the baby. No caffeine, no alcohol, no weed. None of that stuff. No chemicals. If you can possibly, you know how it's so tempting for doctors and caretakers to say, oh, you poor little thing, your baby's going to need this and that and that. Please, stay as pure as humanly possible. He's breastfed and you look forward to making the baby food. That's fantastic. Yeah, you're going to have to be extra. It's almost like you can't afford to be a modern mom, okay? You can't be a modern mom. You can't do it all on drugs and boxes and packages. You need to be very pure in your own body. So if you are breastfeeding, be aware that if you're breastfeeding and if you're smoking weed, then that will get into your baby. Okay? Jeepers, man. Dr. TL. Don't give in to his screaming fits. Don't get into his screaming fits! Ah! Yeah. Yeah, that's where I would really struggle as a parent. Like if I had my own babies it would be impossible. I would be like a super overindulgent parent. Anytime the slightest squeak came out of the baby, I would hear it from 100 miles away, and I'd go, "Oh, what's up, you poor little thing? What do you need now?" And of course, you end up spoiling the baby completely. Anyway, enough. Gregory, we're up. Let's have a look here. All right, let's have a look. What kind of messages do we have here for Gregory tonight? I'm going to shuffle for a few more moments. If you've got a one-word note for me, Gregory, on the subject of ... please fill me in. Otherwise, I'm going to go totally blind for you. Hope you don't mind. All right, here we go. This will work. We're in a good space here. Let's cut this out here. All right, here we go. Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's go over here. Oh, Jasmine, it was a pleasure. It was like a group reading. It was like everybody was there, throwing in their opinions and bits of advice and knowledge and wisdom. It's fantastic. Wonderful. I'm having one of these like fuzzy, warm moments, like I'm so proud to have my little channel here. Little Bubba is fast asleep right behind me on the other side of the stage. Okay, there you go. All right, I didn't want to say his name too loud because he might wake up. All right, let's have a look. What's going on? Could be external influences. We have the Eight of Swords. All right, so right now at this very moment in time, you might be feeling like you're stepping through a maze. You know, like you have to be so careful. Like you might not be aware of it. So I think there's a reason why this card would show up. Like if you feel like, oh, things are okay, I'm cruising through, I've got my problems, yeah, and I've got my, I'm doing okay with this and that, and I'm managing everything okay. However, when I see the Eight of Swords here, to me it makes me feel is that you need to be aware, you need to be reminded. If you're aware already, this is just a reminder that you're going through a period or some circumstances or events in life that are more or less like a maze. You know those mazes where it's like puzzles. You know, I see them at the library. And they come in boxes, or they give you bits of paper, and you have to start here and you have to come out here, and so you sort of wiggle your way through, and it's so easy to get lost. Okay, you got to be very careful. Okay. Also, the other way I often look at the Eight of Swords is that it's sort of like being in a landmine, in a field of landmines where you just have to be very careful, because typically fields of landmines are laid out by enemies and predators who have less than your welfare at heart. Okay. ... Okay? Okay? On the subject of getting a lawyer on my mother's estate, the most crucial thing. Okay. Yeah, because the chances are, okay, that brings a little bit of clarity here. So, because you're already an attorney, Gregory, and you help a lot of people. The thing is that it's like being a doctor or being a dentist. You know, let's say you're a dentist. You can't do your own root canals, you know, or if you're a podiatrist, you can't do your own podiatry. I guess you could, but my God, it would be problems. So yeah. So with the Eight of Swords, my feeling is that it's important to look at your world, your environment, especially if you're heading into illegal matters on your mother's estate. That it let's make it really simple. You're heading into a field of landmines. Okay, and astrologically, that would be represented as lots and lots and lots and lots of little. I'm not saying any of this is good or bad, but the way the planets are laid out right now, this is not what it's going to be like at the very time that you're dealing with the legal matters in real time, let's say in court cases or phone calls or meetings with your mother's estate. But at this very moment in time, we are looking at a lot of little trigger points. Like if we had thousands of dollars in powerful computers to analyze every single aspect, because there are a lot of aspects that are well lit up at the moment. Sometimes everything's just a real cluster. Now remember, we've got in the next few weeks, we're going to have increasing pressure on this T-square here. That's here, 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 here. I'm not going to write it in, but eventually we're going to see a big fat red line going across here. Right now it's blue, but it's going to be red. Okay, it's going to look something like that. And Mars is going to be here in the middle. And things are going to get very spicy, okay? Sometimes people use the new buzzword I'm hearing now is kinetic, okay? Volatile, okay? Like you say the wrong thing to the wrong person at the wrong time, at the wrong place for the wrong reasons. Okay, and it also works the other way around. You could be trying to navigate your life going forward now regarding your mother's estate, where someone could come at you with the wrong words at the wrong time, with the wrong place, with the wrong reasons at the wrong place, and then you blow up like a landmine. Okay? So you've got to be very, very careful. All I'm saying is you've got to be very, very cautious. Tread very, very carefully. It's like, almost like, how can I say this? You know, I saw the Top Gun movie twice. All I'm suggesting is, like, imagine you're no longer in training, you're no longer in mock-ups, you're no longer doing it on the ground with simulators. You're actually up in the war zone, okay, up in the sky, ready for dogfights. So, in order to navigate and succeed, you have to be aware. And in order to be aware, it's like, you know how they have these very huge, powerful Garmin navigator type things on their fighter jets. Think of it that way. Now that you are forewarned is forearmed, and forearmed means getting yourself ready, especially by being prepared to deal, like paying very, very close attention to the information that's going to be coming at you from your opponents. Think of this as a dogfight, just like in the Top Gun movie. And they're coming at you from here, or from there, or from there, or from there. You got to be prepared. So that means you got to be super tuned in, super acutely alert, and ready for anything at any time. And sometimes that means like this. Like the blindfolded lady right there. She's no longer looking around going, oh my God, where's the next sword going to fall? Where's the next sword going to pop out of the ground? Where am I going to stumble on another blade or a sharp edge? No, she's more like this. You turn into like Zen. You turn into your own Zen Garmin sat-nav system. Which sounds completely counterintuitive. But that's what I'm sensing here, okay, Gregory? Mm-hmm. All right. All right, let's have a look. So, anyway, this to me just looks like an alert. You're not in the battlefield yet, but it looks like you're preparing to go to war. And the war there might be a lot of unpredictable elements, and so you have to, let's say, expect the unexpected. Let's put it that way. Here's the situation itself. Okay? Now, it makes me feel like, let's say you find this attorney, and, right, even with the good attorney on your side, knowing that you're going to have to trust this attorney, it is still a solitary journey because there's no one else who can do this except you. You're literally on your own here. You end up having to, I mean, it's almost like what I was describing here is much more evident here, where you're going to have to go forward knowing that you are your own guiding light. You have to trust that you are your own light, and you have the wisdom, the knowledge, the capability. It's just a lot of people are very uncomfortable with this energy, especially if it's an energy that they know that they're going to either have to live through or that they're going to have to carry for an extended period of time in order to endure, in order to survive. No one's going to come to save you. No one can figure out what has to be figured out except you. So it means it's like you against everybody else. So the reading, let's just define this and say that the reading is about your mother's estate and how we're going to deal with this. Okay? Because there's going to be, the way I look at it, there's going to be absolutely nobody on your side. It's just going to be you protecting and defending yourself, your rights, your path, your journey forward. But it's in a very neutral way. It's not like you're out to slaughter anybody. Now, in a courtroom, doing what you have to do, you might have to do some very serious maneuvers and serious legal stuff. And you might face some serious opposing energy. But I don't know how to say it without trying to predict. I'm not going to predict the future, but you can handle this, okay? It just might not feel very comfortable. It's just like, oh my God. Like, it's me against the rest of the world, and the only thing I can do is trust my own inner light. Damn. Okay. All right, let's have a look here. What's the problem going forward? Okay, so with the Ten of Swords, my feeling is that there's this combined feeling like, oh my God, I can't wait till this is over. And then there's this worry like, is it ever going to be over? To me, it feels like two messages, okay? It's just like, I am so sick of dealing with this stuff. I'm so absolutely sick of this. I'm very uncomfortable knowing that I have to do this and be this because no one else can do it. Because if you don't take charge of the situation and trust your own inner light, then everything will turn to SHIT, and that leads to just oblivion and nothingness. And so you're left with this sort of, I would say, deep anger. It's almost beyond anger. It's almost beyond fear, where, yeah, you know what? We're going to put an end to this, but it's very, very scary because you're going up against family. It's very, very scary, and no one else can do it. And you're probably going to face fierce, damning kind of opposition. And then it's almost like, to me, in a way, it's very sad and tragic because it makes me feel like I don't have an option except to deliver the death blow. I have to do it. I don't want to do it because I'm a very loving man. I, Gregory Ross, I am loving and I am loved. I am deeply loving and I am deeply loved, okay? That's already been proven many times, okay? But in this situation, when you're basically going, I know a little bit about it because we've worked on this before, and quite a few people on the channel know about that you've got these things going on with your mom's estate and whatever, but we need resolution. And to get resolution, it means ultimately having to go to war and then deliver the death blow. That's it. And that means, to me, it just looks tragic, sad, sorrowful. I'm not seeing the Five of Cups here or anything like that, but it's like hold on, how can I do this? Here's another. F-U-C-K. All right, yeah. So Gregory, to me it feels like with the Ten of Swords here, there's this deep fear of like, oh my God, why do I have to be at this point in life where I'm actually going to war with family over my mom's estate? It's ludicrous. And for any kind of common sense outcome, I have to prevail, which means I have to deliver the death blow. You know, to put this thing to rest. And I'm trying to imagine myself in a situation like if I was at war with my family, having to do with an estate where I had to get an attorney and do all these expensive, aggressive things and go to courts in order to get justice and set things straight so that everybody can move on with life free and clear. And I had to face this against my brother and sister. I would be devastated. I would almost be at the point like, I can't do this. Even if I loathed my brother and sister and they loathed me, to actually, completely do a complete execution, it's, I don't know. People do it all the time. There are many, many families that have enough dysfunction where the healthiest thing to do is basically a complete purge, a complete excommunication. It's like being excommunicated. It's like you have to excommunicate yourself from them, and you have to excommunicate them from you, and in so doing you are excommunicated from family. Now, sometimes those things are resolved in heaven, in the afterlife, but you might be in a certain lifetime right now where it's actually done in 3D. And then literally, you know how friends and relationships grow over time? You have a life friend, a buddy over years, and it lives its life, and then it stops and moves on. Sometimes you think about them weeks, months, and years later, but the relationship is essentially over. That can happen inside families just as much as friends and spouses and whatever, businesses and so on. And sometimes it's just not very pretty, okay? Anyway, let's keep moving. How are we going to deal with this? Because it's not pretty, and you already know that in advance. And it's not going to be pretty, but someone's got to do it. How are we going to deal with it going forward? Okay. So obviously you're going to summon your inner strength. You're going to summon your inner roar. And you're going to have to do it for the sake of everybody. It might feel very unnatural. It might feel very almost like going against everything that God made you to be as a human being. It's like it doesn't make any sense. In order to prevail, it's like with the you're going to have to use the strength of your soul. I don't know how else to describe it. You have to use It's almost like, okay, this feels like a very different thing here. Always forever infinite. Okay, so this feels like it's way, way over here. Visuals mean something to me in a reading. And in order to deal with this situation with your mom's estate, having to find an attorney and so on, and then basically going to war in a courtroom, it means in order to do what has to be done and get things done and to get things into what I would call a way that's in alignment with spirit, so that there is no residual after karma. Now, your opponents might feel very bitter, but deep down at the soul level, the karma will be completely and utterly resolved, so that you never ever have to go back to the issues, okay? So for that to happen, it means having to come at the estate and the unwinding of the estate, and I guess the confrontation of the estate in such a way that it's almost like you have to bless the whole thing in advance, so that when you go into I don't know how to explain it. It's like when you go into the courtroom, you know you've already won, and you know it might be a bloody battle, and you might get scarred and beaten up psychologically, emotionally, financially, and everybody eventually kind of reaches a compromise where, nobody's, like, if you just took a snapshot, nobody's happy, but you do actually reach a point of resolution. In other words, there's no point in going in trying to slaughter the opponents, and there's no point in going in and being so unprepared that you end up getting slaughtered by the enemy. Can't do that. It feels to me like you need to be prepared in advance, knowing that you're going to be very alone in this matter, even with the support of a good attorney. And on an emotional scale, you're probably going to be literally hated. They're going to throw every kind of emotional javelin, spear, knife to inflict like psychological, emotional suffering to try and make you buckle and break. And of course, you're above that. You're beyond that. You have to go You have to go into it in a very, very serene, spiritual, like sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. One of those expressions. In fact, words can be very damaging. Very verbal abuse can be life destructive. Okay, but what I'm saying with the strength card here is the way to prevail is to like come at it from a very soulful perspective, where you're not here to kill the enemy. Killing the enemy and prevailing in court is just doing what has to be done to reach serenity and peace and karmic conclusion. So that at the end of proceedings, everything is done to the highest levels of, let's say, spiritual requirements. Okay? It's literally not a battle for every dollar, every buck, or egoic domination of one over the other. It's more about getting things resolved at the spiritual level. Okay? Okay? I would say that's tough to do, because in a combat situation, it's very easy to get hyper emotionally charged. But my feeling is that you can't afford to be that way. It's almost like a good idea to pray in advance before each day in court, or each letter that's written, or each communication that's received or delivered, to do it in a state of serene prayer. Ask for divine guidance. I ask for the healing power of love to fill my body, mind, heart, and soul from up above regarding the matter of my mother's estate. Like, please guide me, please protect me in terms of selecting the lawyer and the lawyer selecting me. And the words that are exchanged in such a way that it is all done to the very, very highest order of, let's say, divine purity. And then let the cards fall how they may. So if you feel at the end you got a pretty raw deal, but it's concluded, there's a chance that they feel that they get a pretty raw deal, but it's concluded. My feeling the goal here is to reach karmic resolution, where everybody can walk away, even though everybody might feel like really bruised up and wow, that was horrible. In fact, you get to a point of serenity and peace at the end of it, and it's done and it's over, and you don't have to have lingering bitterness or anything. Yes, there will be aftershock, delayed shock, and all that kind of stuff, but effectively at the karmic level, the soul level, we're seeking resolution here. So I hope that makes sense. Thank you, Gregory. You know what I'm going to do, since I found a way to make those songs come up? I'm going to play this song, I Am Guided. Here we go. I found a new way to get inside my computer.
I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. When the light of hope it fades, when all faith is blown away, when all sense of trust goes down, when a smile turns into frown, when it feels there's no relief, nothing in which to believe, desperate in woe and grief, angels come reminding me, I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected. Angels gather close to me, show me what I cannot see. Angels take me by the hand, lift me when I cannot stand. Angels lead me through the dark, soothe and tend a broken heart, laughing at the circumstance, crying while we sing and dance. I am guided, I am protected, 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 I am guided, I am protected.
Wow. I haven't played my own songs here for a long time. Oh man, water. All right, Tina, you're up. Wow. Gregory, as always, my pleasure. Always. I just want to say hi to Tina. Greetings, Tina, from Las Vegas. Sunny, hot, hot, hot Las Vegas. Wow. I read your notes earlier up in the chat. I probably missed a whole bunch of them. We're going to go blind, but new job focus. Absolutely, no problem there. So the things I remember about your notes today is all the stuff about, like whatever you said, like 134 fires in Montana. That's insane. I mean, Montana's a big place. There's a lot of combustible stuff there. I get it. Jeepers, man. That's man. Yeah. And of course, everybody, I think, figured out pretty early on as soon as you showed up. Congratulations on the job. You got a sign-on bonus. And one of the ER doctors is involved in SAR with the doggies, search and rescue. I'm so happy for you, Tina. It makes me feel like you really kind of landed. I mean, you took such a huge leaps, like huge risks, like let's do a reading for relocation. Bam. Okay, let's do it. Helena, Montana. Let's go for it. Bam. Now you're there living a life. Man. Oh, man. I know you're way north, okay? I know it gets freakish cold there in winter, but let me pull out the maps. You know, I love my maps. I'm not going to do any of these scary world domination, World War III stuff. I'm just going to focus on Montana. I wanted to point out interesting, quirky things. Like over here, okay, oh, well, let's do it here. Okay, here's Las Vegas, and here is Helena. Let me see if I got that right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there's Helena, Montana, and as you can see, Montana is enormous. Okay. It's about the size of England. Okay, so to give you a perspective in terms of landmass, there's England, there's Scotland, there's Ireland, there's Wales. It's probably bigger than England. Now England, over here, they have about 60 million people. Okay, over here you have 2 million or something? I can't remember population of Montana. Maybe somebody could look it up on their phone or whatever. But now you look at the latitude over here. I was born up here. I've told you about how I lived different places here and here and here and here and here and here. But it's interesting how the weather like moves around. There's this big current that goes this way of weather. Okay, it kind of loops like this. And so when I was living in England, it tends to get very cold, but not much below freezing, because it's very, very wet air that comes over from the North Atlantic and blows down. It freezes up around here and then it loosens up. So it's very, very common for the weather to come this way in England, and it's very, very humid and very cold. Like typically in the winter it's just above, it's like 1 degree above freezing, and because it's so humid, you like your bones seize up. Whereas over here in Montana, it's much more, from what I remember, is like a dry cold. So you can have a beautiful, beautiful sunny day, and it could be like 10, 15, 20 degrees below zero or something. And you can walk outside, take your t-shirt off and catch a bit of sun, sit in a hot tub, enjoy yourself. And then in summertime, I guess it would be 70s or maybe 80s, but I know that it can get blistering heat here too. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. Yeah. Oh, you've been training with Ava in Bozeman. Wow. Okay. Bozeman is over. I have to look at it very closely. Where is it? Bozeman, Montana. It's small enough that they can't show it on this chart. Anyway, Bozeman, like there's Helena. Okay, so Bozeman must be pretty close by. And that's where Ava and Tina are doing their SAR training. Wow, that's exciting. That must be actually quite fun. Just east of the Continental Divide. Yep. What's it like for lakes and streams up there, Tina? Population of 1 million. Oh my God! That's fantastic. 1 million people in a place the size of England. That's incredible. Montana's probably got almost the same land mass as California, but in a different shape. It's not as big as Texas. Texas is really, really big. 1 million people. Oh my God, you must have so much nature, like grass, mountains. Do you ever get to go places where you just see wild bison? Wow. All right, there we go. Let's have a look. Tina in the 90s. Wow, yeah, okay. Well, that's still pretty hot. I lived for 20 years on the beach in California down in Venice, and anything over 85 is just like, that's scary. And it never went below 50. So I was really spoiled for 20 years. 90 degrees. When it gets to 98.4, it gets very scary. When it gets up in the hundreds, I get heat stroke and sunstroke. So I stay out of the sun completely. Well, the only times I get into the sun is getting in and out of a car to go from one air-conditioned place to another air-conditioned place. That's it. I've stopped doing any kind of exercise. Yeah, that's right, I remember. I don't remember much about Bozeman. I've never been there, but I remember we talked, and yeah, I have my dear old friend who lives there. Wonderful. She loves it there. All right, let's have a look. What kind of notes do we have? Because we're looking into a whole new future here. I'm not going to be a prophet. I don't make I'm not a fortune teller. Okay, everybody knows that. Just want to get that straight. Everybody who's watching, I'm not a fortune teller. Okay. Let's have a look here. Let's see what's going on. I think, yeah, we're good. All right, let's have a look. What kind of messages do we have here tonight for Tina regarding this whole new life world job thing unfolding? Here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at the surrounding influences. Okay. Well, first of all, I feel like no one else could have done this except you. And you're gonna essentially, I think, create your own path going forward. My feeling is that I think we already discussed that in a previous reading, where you're going to be very well appreciated. And almost like you fell out of the sky. Remember that one? Now, I'm not saying that that's what this is saying, but I'm recalling that I think it was a few weeks ago we were talking about this new work situation. And it was a very optimistic reading, and it now has been verified, which is very exciting. I think everybody was very thrilled here tonight when they learned that you got the job, plus the bonus, plus you got this cool doctor now who's involved in SAR. That's fantastic. Now, this is going to sound like a really weird interpretation of the Hermit card. it's like, to me it feels like, in a very subtle way, without anybody saying it, without you projecting it anywhere, or anybody assuming it or demanding it or projecting it onto you, you will be like secretly and subconsciously considered like an expert. And sort of like, gosh, I don't know how am I going to say, I don't know how to say, I have to find words for this. Okay, so with the hermit, like imagine you're in the work situation and you're just showing up, you start the program in a few days, few weeks, or whatever it is, and you're getting attuned to the environment. You're meeting all the crew, the other staff, the administration, the other doctors, the other nurses. You start to get a feel for the flow of the situation, just a general feel of, maybe patients coming in, maybe patients going out. And you start to, let's say, tune into your environment. And you're tuning into your environment, and you're there, and you're stabilizing. And my feeling is that with the Hermit card, I'm not saying you're not going to blend in, they're not going to blend in with you, or you're not going to blend in with them. It's more that there's this going to be an acknowledgement that you're unique and that you are special in such a way that there are going to be episodes where it's like people, there are going to be people in situations and circumstances that the other folks there can't or won't or don't have the experience to handle, no matter how qualified they are in the administration or the doctors or the nurses or the admin or whatever it is. And they, in a very subtle way, they end up coming to you because they can sense that you have something, that you know something that they don't. Even if you're not qualified at a certain thing. You know how in healthcare there are so many specialties for this and specialties for that, and they all have lots of letters after their name, the doctor of blah 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 blah, and then a specialist this department blah blah blah. It's just that I feel that because of like who you are, there's going to be this kind of a bit of an aura around you. Part of it is going to be respect. I'm thinking about the other. I'm trying to imagine myself now in the feel of your co-workers. Everything from janitorial, cleanup, nurses, admin, physician's assistants, ER, doctors, different departments. They're going to recognize that you are your own unique being, and that it's maybe like you're not a local. Maybe you didn't come from here, and like you landed from outer space, and you're here now. And there are going to be episodes where you're the only person, you're the only one who's the go-to in a situation. It might feel weird where you get some kind of specialist who actually going to be attracted to you to get your input or feedback on a situation, because you've got certain types of like knowledge, wealth, and experience that they don't have, even if they're technically, theoretically more qualified or way more qualified than you. So please expect that. Be prepared for that. Doesn't mean you're going to be lonely, okay? Okay? It says here on the chat, what's this? Loner, the word, Tina, a loner at heart. It's okay to be a loner. No, it's not I don't see this as a problem or a bad thing. It just needs to be understood and very clearly defined. But you know how things sometimes in hospitals or corporations and workplaces can become very cliquey, like the French word clique, clique, which means like a club. Like, oh, she's one of us. Are you one of us? Are you like us? If not, if you're not like one of us, then you must be one of them. Okay? You're not any of that. You're on you are your own thing. Okay? You don't have to worry about whether you're socially acceptable in this group or that group. You know how things can get tribal. Okay, it's not happening, okay? Yeah, you might end up as a consultant in some way. Maybe as a... what's the word? Unofficial. Like after a while of being there, people start to realize, like, wow, blah blah blah, blah, I got so much power. Well, and then nurse talks to nurse talks to doctor, and doctors talk to patient, and whatever. And someone says, you know what? Go ask Tina. Let's go ask Tina, see what she's got to say. Hey Tina, over there. Have you got a minute? Can you? You know, it could be one of those kind of situations. Okay. All right, let's have a look at the reading itself. This is just sort of a vibe we need to take into account. Okay. Let's have a look here. Situation. Okay, it makes me feel like you're going to be really, really in your element. I think you're really going to shine here. It's a, what do you call it? A critical access hospital, and that there's they're looking for someone to take charge with independent thinking. Yeah. Well, maybe that wasn't in your notes when they were hiring you, but yeah, I think that's going to really be your strength. Okay. To me, it makes me feel that the situation is that you're in a very strong situation, and you don't have to prove it to anybody. It will be purely evident from your actions. This is not the Ace of Wands, it's the Ace of Cups. And in some ways, the Ace of Cups might be even more valuable and important in these situations, because you're dealing with very powerful emotional currents of energies that happen in critical access hospital type situations. Okay? And so, with the King of Cups energy, this is an indication that, to me, it makes me feel that you are going to shine, because you are the one who can hold yourself together under intense pressure that would completely buckle or break the emotional constitution of another nurse or another doctor or another physician's assistant. And that's where you will shine. Okay? It's because it's almost like you've been through the gates of hell. You've walked through the valley of death and all of that. You've seen it all. And you know how to deal with it all. And that will eventually become evident through your actions. And you will be regarded at that level of, let's say, quality. Like, it's kind of like an echo of the reading a few weeks ago, I think, like where it's going to become apparent after time that you are above and beyond average, and that people can come to you, and when things get, like when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So that, to me, it makes me feel that you're really going to thrive and shine and show your true colors when things are extremely severe for the other doctors and nurses and for the patients. There you go. Hello, Diana. I just saw you there. We're on our last two readings, Diana. We're just started with Tina, and then we're going to read for Precious, okay? But you're welcome to come back next Sunday. Or, of course, if you want to go deep diving, you can do a private reading. I'm still here, okay? King of Cups. Yes, that is the King of Cups, Tina. Let me show you on the chat here. See if we can get a really nice, clear image for you. That's about as good as it's going to get for now. And of course you have earned this. The King of Cups has earned this position of being able to maintain absolute mastery, absolute supremacy and balance and harmony under situations of extreme duress. What are the challenges? Okay, so we've got the Six of Swords here. I think because you're at a point in life, like, frankly, it would be so much fun if you could just simply retire and just hang out and do cool, fun stuff with Ava and the dogs and SAR. And my feeling is that, because these are really powerful, strong cards, my feeling is that when you get back into the workplace, it's going to be intense. Okay? Especially if it's a small crew and it's about dealing with very critical situations. You're used to that already, but you've kind of already lived that life, but now you're recycling yourself and going back into it again. My feeling is that there's a deep fear that every now and again you're going to wish, like, oh God, I wish I didn't actually have to do this. I wish I could just bust out and like live on a permanent, gorgeous retirement, and it's just me and my thoughts, me and my wishes, and that's about it. Am I ever going to have time to go? Here's another thing that I'm feeling about this one. Once you become immersed in the new job here, you might become so valuable and so important to the equation that if the employers have their way, you would be living and sleeping in the hospital 24/7 because your skills would be in such demand. And then you start to be in this position like, God, am I ever going to get a break? Well, of course you will, because you're going to need a break. But as everybody knows now, the American medical healthcare system is under a lot of stress. And a lot of the caretakers, the doctors, and especially a lot of the nurses are being taken to absolute breaking point because of the way things are right now. So my feeling here with the Six of Swords is that after a bit of time, you might fall into that trap that happens to almost, I think, everybody in healthcare as a provider, where like, oh my God, when am I going to get a break? Okay? So it's very, very important to make sure with your employers, I'm not going to preach anything about this card in advance, but just looking at this here right now, it's it's really important to know that you're probably going to be in high demand, and there's going to be moments like, God, I wish I could get off the clock just for tonight. I've already done a 12-hour shift. I can't come back at 6 a.m. Damn. Okay? And so you have to kind of establish some ground rules with the employers that in order for you to be of maximum value and maximum efficiency and effectiveness to your patients and in service to the hospital and the other doctors and nurses, you are going to need your private time. You're going to need to be able to get your private time and to be able to get away, if necessary, far away, like a 2.5-hour road trip or something like that. You know, way out into the lakes and the rivers and the mountains. You have to. You absolutely have to. You cannot let yourself get sucked inside the corridors of the hospital 24/7. Okay? Did I say Ace of Cups? Oh, sorry. It is the King of Cups. Sorry. Thanks for reminding me. Thanks for the corrections. How do we deal with this going forward? Okay. Okay. To me, this just is a reminder. The Ten of Wands. You've already lived through this, Tina. You know damn well what you're going into. And you know what can happen. You are a bit of a compassion junkie, and you almost can't help yourself. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. But you've kind of already lived that life. To me, this looks like a reminder that you have a tendency to take on too much. And in so doing, you now jeopardize yourself and put yourself at risk to the point where you're not so able to function on the job, okay? So, going forward, please understand that you have kind of set yourself up for a lot of pressure. And since you know that in advance and beforehand, okay, you need to be able to get home back to your castle every day. You can't be doing 12, 14-hour shifts, 6 days a week. It's not allowed. Okay? You've already this. To me, this looks like a warning. 10 of Wands, not allowed. Okay? Okay, so it says here you're doing 3 12s a week. Okay, so that to me is understandable. That seems reasonable. It still can be quite stressful because a 12-hour shift at anything is stressful. But that gives you the free time to escape for the other 4 days. So actually, I think that's kind of cool. But do not allow yourself to get completely beaten down and overburdened on the 3-day work week with the 12-hour shift. Even though it sounds kind of cool, wow, I only work 3 days a week. Everybody here knows what that would translate into. 3 hours, 3 12s in a row, or however you do it, 3 12s in a row. Sometimes having them consecutive is good because then you just get it out of the way. Then you have one complete day of absolute decompression and rest, and then a few days of, however you do it, I don't know, but be aware that you are not allowed to go beyond your break point. You're not even allowed to go to your breaking point, okay? It's like you've already done that. Think about a car, like a high mileage car. No insult, okay? It's just that I'm working on a high mileage car at the moment to try and get it to work better. So with the 10 of Wands here, you got to think long term. You've just started, you've just completely started a whole new job / career. It's already been your career for many years. You're starting all over again. But it looks to me like you're going to be properly respected, properly rewarded, compensated. And it looks like it's a healthy, suitable, joyful environment for you. And it will be rewarding and so on. But there would be this reflex behavior to take on too much. It's almost by definition you're taking on too much because you're a nurse. They almost always end up taking on more than is healthy in any kind of profession. And so you got to be very, very wary of that. Think of the 10 of Wands as like a fuel gauge or like an energy gauge. You want to stay way far away from the red line. Okay? I'm going to go back. Here's my visual depiction here. Okay? You want to stay well away from loading up on 10 Wands all day, every day on each shift. Instead, it would be okay. It would be better to develop a long-term culture instead of pounding yourself for all of those work days and work hours. Stay within the margins. Stay within the margins. Move gently. Move carefully. A lot of nurses have to stand up on their feet for many, many hours. Okay, and do a lot of physical stuff. A lot of nurses need a lot of health care. So it's very important that, think of your ankles. Okay, look at it this way, Tina. Here's what I'm thinking of it in a very physical sense. Think of your ankles. Think of your knees. Think of your hips. Think of your lower spine. Think of your shoulders. Think of your arms. Think of your neck. You cannot afford to let your physical body get to the point where it feels like, oh my God, Ten of Wands. I remember that reading months ago, years ago. I'm in a Ten of Wands situation. It's not allowed. Because you've probably lived that way for a long time in your previous iteration of this career. But in this version, the Ten of Wands methodology is not allowed. You've got to stay it down. Like if I could, like pretend it's like, I don't want to tell you it's less wands because that gives you a whole different card. But just be very, very careful about what I would call energy management, physical energy management. When things get very, very stressful, don't allow yourself to panic and run around. But I'm not telling you how to do your job because I'm not a nurse, but all I'm suggesting is like be extremely respectful of your physical body and don't do anything to jeopardize your physical condition. Because you have to live to fight another day, so to speak, okay? And you're only just starting, okay? All right, I hope that makes sense. Congratulations, Tina, again. Awesome. Very, very awesome. And you really deserve it, too. Precious, you're up. Precious, you're the last reading of the evening. Hang in tight. I hope you're still here on whatever device. You still got electricity and a battery or something. If not, Precious, if you couldn't make it, of course you'll still get your reading. But I know you said there was something you're very concerned about, the court case coming up for your house or something like that. Hold on a minute. I need to go back. Maybe, I think it was way, way early in the chat somewhere. Precious, if you're here, can you type in again? I forgot the subject matter. You did type it in on the reading. But I'm going to go, where was it? Where was it? I'm trying to scroll back through the chat. Can you play bounce? Blah, blah. Okay, something about on the 20th, Thursday. Yeah, you've got the court hearing on Thursday, okay, for your situation, right? All right, let's go over here. Okay, so Precious, it sounds to me like obviously you're concerned. You said your legs are shaking. You've made your whatever it is presentation to the court, and it sounds like you're actually going to court on Thursday, or it will be heard in court, and maybe they'll give you an opinion on Thursday. Let's have a look. All right, so everybody, of course, big hugs and big blessings to Precious. She needs all the blessings she can get. She's been out of the house, effectively homeless, living in a shelter for months and months and months, okay? Having been a victim of this very nasty landlord and the very, very nasty mandates up in Canada. I'm going to shuffle a bit more, okay? I see you, Precious. You're still here. Great. Okay, awesome. Yeah, it's not right, Precious. Everybody knows that. Precious, everybody needs to know, in case you don't know, Precious is a highly qualified, hard-working nurse herself, but because of weather and burst frozen pipes during the winter, she had to leave the property. The property manager was very negligent and disrespectful. On top of that, the mandates left Precious in a position where she was no longer able to actually hold the job, and they let her go. That's vicious as well, to my mind, anyway. Heard on the 28th. Okay? Got it. I got the typo. I saw that, Precious. Yeah. Alright, so let's have a look. Oh, it looks like Tina is describing the exact nature of the critical access hospital. 4-bed ER, yep. 20 inpatient beds, 2 nurses. Wow. 2 nurses. It sounds like you could use with double or triple that. Anyway, I think they're going to be very, very happy that they have you there. Hi, Bubba. I'm going to get your dinner soon. That was Bubba. Bubba wants his dinner. Alright, no worries. I'm just going to take a sip of this over here. That's fresh, nice water. Alright, let's have a look. So, let's see, what kind of notes do we have here for Precious regarding the court hearing and her housing situation? I'm not going to try and force the reading in any way. I'm not going to tell the future. We're just going to do what we do here on the channel. I'm using the situational spread. It's basically a diagnostic tool. It's like when you go into a hospital and they diagnose you. It's like when you go into an auto tech shop and they diagnose you. You've got to reveal it to heal it. You can't fix it if you don't know what the problem is. Okay? Here we go. Alright, here's the situation. Here's the challenges. Here's how we're going to handle it. And let's have a look at external influences. Now, don't be scared or expectant, whether it's good or bad. We're not going to look at it that way. Look at that. Okay, so you've got the seven of Pentacles here. So, the way I see it, the way I'm feeling here with this for you, Precious, is that you have inadvertently become tangled up in this mess, and it's not your mess. Okay? It's actually someone else's mess, and it's spilled over onto you. The way I see it is the 7 of Pentacles represent you and your value and your values and how valuable you are. And that things need to be cleared up. That's really what the court case is about, is basically weeding away everything that is interfering with your abundance. And this is, if you think of this as real estate, the Pentacles are very much to do with money. And so the money and let's say call it the value that real estate represents, like your apartment, perhaps getting refurbished or something and having a chance of shelter. Or perhaps something else will come about where you get compensation, but you go find something else, like you were saying, a house, you'd love to have a house and so on. So, to me it looks like this is, I would say this is the great untangling. Like it's about time everything got untangled. And it's not your mess. And yet you end up having to be the one untangling the mess so that you can get back to status quo, get back to healthy abundance, so that all these 7 Pentacles are effectively free to be what they are. Basically valuable. Like there's no value in a house or apartment where all the pipes are burst, the electricity doesn't work, and the ceiling leaks and things like that. That's not a house. That's a liability. So with the 7 of Pentacles, my feeling is it's an indication that you're surrounded by this problem. It's not your problem. It's a problem that's built up over years of dereliction and neglect from the other people, not you. And yet you're the one having to deal with it. So there's the way I look at it is that you're in a strong position here because It's not like you caused the problems. It's not like you trashed the apartment and you're trying to defend yourself. The apartment was not managed properly, and you did very well in the circumstances, and now you're the one who's having to seek justice and make amends and clear up the mess. So you're actually doing everybody a favor. You're actually doing the owners a favor by forcing them, if necessary, to get this mess cleaned up. Because ultimately, as property owners, they can't continue unless and until the property is made wholesome again. And you just happen to be the unlucky person who got stuck with the last chain in the dominoes that fell, where you're now the one having to effectively go to war with the owners just to do what should be ordinary common sense by the owners. What's the situation itself? Okay? So, to me this looks like it's a bit of a personal thing. Obviously, you're scared of losing out and things not working out. But there's another. Don't look at the grumpy face of the four here, okay? There's all sorts of ways the four can be interpreted. Right now, the way I'm feeling it is that it's very important that it's like, obviously you hold on to what you've got, and it's very, very important that you have to hold on to what you've got. And it's like a chance to rebuild. In other decks and other descriptions and other interpretations, there's a lot of power that comes with the Four of Pentacles. It's the power of structure and restructuring. It's the power of building a castle with a moat. It isn't just a house. It's something solid. And to me, it makes me feel like you're so pissed off about the situation that you don't just want justice. You want real, proper accommodations, like accommodation that would be the equivalent. I'm not saying you're going to have a castle with a moat. What I'm suggesting is that if, let's say, justice is achieved and you have a court hearing where the judge is fair and honest and reasonable, and you're not having to deal with some kind of like highly corrupt racket between the local, property owners and landlords and the judicial system and the city hall and all that crap, Let's say you're in actually a strong position where you've made a really good presentation and you're sticking up for your rights, and it shows, okay? And let's say the presentation shows in such a way that you are worthy of justice, in such a way that you can reasonably expect reaccommodation. That would be the equivalent of a new castle. I'm using in a way silly language there. It's not a castle, but getting things back in order where you can have stability and structure. Okay, the Four of Pentacles. You think of that as the four corners of a solid rectangle building. Okay, or the four cornerstone foundations of a house, or something like that. Okay, this is very, very important. And it's about building. It's a very strong energy of building as well. Okay, I'm not saying you're going to go build your own house, but what it's really all about is getting new housing, new accommodation, and it's about freaking time. What's the problems here? Let's have a look. Oh, okay. So it's a completely different way to... Okay, I'm just going to say it for what it is. There's no one coming to save you, precious. Okay, you're on your own here. It would be so nice if you had an advocate who would advocate for you. Like if you had a really good attorney who would be doing the presentation and standing up for you in court, or even if you do have someone representing you, it's like ultimately it's just an administrative role, but the real person who is representing you is you, and it's very frightening to, in a way, it's just like, it would be so nice to have, wouldn't it be nice to have your own, what's that word? What's the word that they use? Your own champion, like, in the Roman, the days of the gladiators, when the rulers would have their champions, their horses and their riders and their knights to go and do the fighting for them. The leaders never actually did the fights themselves. They got someone else to fight for them. So, to me, it makes me feel like you're scared. Obviously scared, because you don't really know what the outcome is yet. We don't know. Nobody knows. You won't know until you know. But in the meantime, this is a perfectly understandable fear, because you've already been treated very badly by the property people, and now you're having to effectively basically fight your own war for yourself, and there's no champion who's coming in there to fight for you. Maybe there are advocates in your area and people who fight on behalf of people in your situation, but it seems to me like you're really having to do a lot of your own work. Even if there is an advocate, it's still basically you having to defend and protect yourself, and having to build your case and restructure your life accordingly. So it's a tough challenge. How are we going to deal with this going forward? Okay, so again, you have every right to be a little bit scared and anxious and nervous going forward, because you don't know what the outcome is. I don't know if you have done any homework or research onto the courts or the offices or the departments at City Hall who deal with these kinds of things, to try and find out if there's any kind of bias, or if they have any kind of history of really dirty corruption with local property owners and large-scale rental property owners and managers and property developers and things like that. Because if it's a really dirty administration in Edmonton, then you have every right to be scared, okay? But if you don't know, like the politics and all the insider stuff about what goes on with Edmonton property laws and real estate and all that kind of stuff, and you're literally innocent and sweet, and you're going in there having to protect and defend yourself fiercely in order to reclaim and rebuild your life, start from scratch, get new housing, then yeah, understandable. Just because you might be scared and afraid doesn't mean you're going to lose or not get a favorable outcome. It just means it's a little bit scary. It's always scary to go in these situations, especially if you're not a professional attorney who does this every day. But again, you have no option. The only way out is through. Here, okay? You just have to keep plodding forward. And you might get barked at by these scary animals. You might have to go through the valley of the shadow of death, and the only light available is the light of the moon. Ah! Don't worry. Actually, there's another way to say this. Okay, allow yourself to be scared. You have every reason to be scared, but that doesn't mean it's an unfavorable outcome. Okay, just, it's almost feel the fear and go forward anyway. you don't have an option, because you're going to have to be your own hero. You're going to have to be your own champion anyway. You don't have to be fierce or violent or aggressive or nasty or mean in the courthouse. You just have to be very just and chivalrous and stand up for your rights in a very honorable, respectful way in the courthouse. I'm serious, you really have to respect the court, especially if you don't know the protocols, because I've been through all sorts of courts for all sorts of things. Okay, I'm just going to share something precious. And I think Gregory knows a lot about this stuff too. Like, if you're in the wrong courthouse on the wrong day with the wrong judges and the wrong administrators, things could go really bad for you. But in the same town, and you could end up in the right courtroom with the right judge on the right day, in the right mood, and everything just goes fine. Okay, let's sort this out. All right, precious. What's the situation? They look at your stuff. Oh dear, this is terrible. This is terrible. This is not your problem. I'm so sorry you got stuck in this mess. What an awful situation. We're going to deal with this. Don't worry, precious. Bam! And then they sort it out legally. I mean, that would be a wonderful situation, but you don't know. You don't know because you're the one fighting for you and your family. You're the one who's fighting for your rights, your property rights. You're fighting for your right, literally your right to have accommodation, because you were abused. The way I see it is that you were abused. The way I understand the situation, no fault of your own, and you had a really shitty property landowner, manager, whatever it was, who allowed things to get so bad in the first place, and did absolutely nothing to affect any kind of repairs or abide by any kind of local property maintenance codes. So I hope you did your homework properly and prepped yourself and did a really good submission, handing in your notes to the court. Let me go back over here a second. And I think I used that expression earlier today. Forewarned is forearmed. It's good to know, precious, in advance that you're literally kind of on your own here. No one's going to be a champion for you, or you might be. Okay, I take that back. Sorry, you're scared that no one's going to champion for you or be on your side. That's a legitimate fear. It can be scary just because you're going into like a court setting or of some kind where they make judgments based on these documents that you present. And it doesn't mean just because they're courts and they look important, and doesn't mean that they're just mean and nasty and horrible to everybody who comes in. You have a very legitimate situation here, and I think you're going to do a perfectly good presentation, and you have the rights to do so because you are a mother of 3 and you're trying to protect yourself and your family and regain shelter. Is there a champion out there for you? Will the judge be your champion? Because there's no one else really. But you're not going to know until you go through it, until you get it done. So the only way out of this is to go through it. It's scary. Of course, we're all praying for you. I'm trying to think of my song that... How about I play this? This is the last reading of the evening. How about I play another one of my songs? It's called I Surrender. Okay? And one of the key lines in it is that the only way out is through. Okay? You surrender. How about that? I'll just do that. We'll dedicate this song to you, okay, precious? I'm going to find this song. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to play it. And it's the last reading. So people can check out, say goodnight to each other, have any last minute farewell tips or whatever. And I'll come back a few minutes, for a minute or so after the song, and check out. But this song is to help. We're all here trying to help Precious to get through. And everybody, we can say thank you to Tina as well for donating this reading to Precious. Thank you, Tina. Thank you very, very much. It's a pleasure to have you here, Precious, as well. So let's have a look, see what we got. Okay, here it is. I've got it. See if I can pull this up. I surrender. Yeah, I think I can hear it.
Oh, how the body craves. Oh, how the heart it aches. Oh, how the soul knows all of this. Feels like you manifested me in ways that match perfectly, answering my own wish for sure. So many lifetimes in the making. This time round there is no faking, no mistaking. I surrender, I surrender. My hands are held up high, my knees are on the ground. I surrender, I surrender. I hand myself over to the mystery of your sweet embrace. There's no going back, don't even have any maps to our new futures. There's only our next breath. We're so fully committed and so fully engaged, so courageous and fighters to the death. Building bridges from your heart to my heart, forging bonds of honest structure, our new start. I surrender, I surrender. My hands are held up high, my knees are on the ground. I surrender, I surrender. I hand myself over to the mystery of your sweet embrace. There's no way around this, only way out is through. There's no way around this, open the door to bliss. Only way out is through, that's what we're gonna do, yeah. I surrender, I surrender. My hands are held up high, my knees are on the ground. I surrender, I surrender. I hand myself over to the mystery of your sweet embrace. I surrender. My hands are held up high, my knees are on the ground. I surrender, I surrender. I hand myself over to the mystery of your sweet embrace.
There you go. Dear Precious, I hope that helps you. You're very strong. I mean, think what you've already survived. It's mind-boggling. Actually, I'm going to put these away now. Thank you so much, Precious. Thank you, everybody, for being here. And again, thank you, Tina, for the support. Tremendous support for Precious. I mean, she really needs it. I honestly don't know how you handle it. I think you've got 3 kids, is that right? How the hell do you handle it? Living in a shelter with 3 kids. God. All because some shitty landlord won't do their job. Okay, so, nature is part of it, of course. Broken, frozen pipes, burst up pipes and all of that, but those things are fixable. And everybody knows they happen. If you're living in a location where frozen pipes are a very regular thing, then you take precautions. If you know there's a vulnerable point, under the sink or out in the backyard or wherever it is, you take precautions. You add extra insulation, maybe whatever it is. You don't let them blow. The worst thing you can do is let a pipe blow because it's frozen. God. Anyway, there we go. Precious, you know what, Precious? If you feel like it, get in touch Thursday. I don't know if you're going to get an opinion or an outcome or a judgment by the end of Thursday, but, check in anyway, or once you know what's actually going on, give us all a shout. Wait a minute, next Thursday's what? Today's the 24th, Thursday's the 28th. So you might not know anything till Thursday night or maybe the week after. But certainly by Sunday, please come back and visit us next Sunday, because by then you'll probably have an opinion or an outcome or a judgment or something, whatever it's called. And we can go from there. Okay? So that's pretty much it. We've done our readings, and I had another song. I might as well, I'm going to play a Tarot Illumination song. Let me do one that I want to do. I have a few old folky songs here that I'm going to play this song. I wrote it years ago now. Wow, it was 2017. Jeepers, man. 18, 19, 22, 1, 2. This song is 5 years old. It's about spreading love and comfort through the ether. You understand, of course, everybody here understands that love literally, love travels through time and space. It is an energy field. And you can, once you understand that, you can get involved in this, that what I call energy management. Love is as love does. What are you going to do with that energy field? We all have access to it. Anyway, this song is called Through the Ether.
Through the ether. Laying up and around in our mountains, in our seas and our forests, with all of our stones, exploring one another, pushing our boundaries like new lovers. And you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me, and you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay, that you're holding my hand all the way. Our innocence is becoming so apparent in our magnificence at the same time too. With your permissions and our shared ambitions, we get the chance to discover our truths. and you comfort me through the ether, and you tell me, I can tell that you're worried about me, and you assure me through the ether that we're okay, everything is gonna be okay, that you're holding my hand all the way, that you're holding my hand all the way, holding my hand all the way, holding my hand all the way.
Yeah, it's one of my little folk songs. Hope you like that, Precious. Hope that makes you feel like you got some hope. Okay, so you heard me. Okay, Precious, so I sent it to you. Okay, thanks, Precious. Obviously, I'll take a look. And, of course, we'll see you next Sunday. And we'll get all the updates, of course. Thank you very much. I'm going to play a song now, and I'm going to say goodbye. It's been a wonderful evening. Thank you for sharing your time and energy and resources with me. I don't know how to say thank you. I'm trying to remember that I have a YouTube channel. I'm supposed to say things like, I should say it many times through the channel, you know, like, oh, don't forget to subscribe and like and make comments. And what's one of the other ones? Like, subscribe, comment, and click the bells to make sure you get notifications, okay? I'm trying to be a good boy with my channel now. I'm trying to be very, very well behaved on my channel so I don't get continually squashed by the algorithm. Oh, anyway. Thank you everybody for being here. I love doing this for you and with you. And let's sign out. It's late Sunday for a lot of you. I think for Karen, it's already, Karen Clark, if she's still here, it's already Monday noon, something like that. I'm going to play another song I haven't played in a long time. And it is called, what is it called? It's called Love is the Word. I become alive before the sun does rise. To me, it's like a fighting, marching song. Almost like, you know, going to war type of song. How you empower yourself with songs and music to make yourself indestructible. That's one way that I look at this song sometimes. So I'm going to start playing the song and then I'm going to say goodnight to everybody. I'll leave the chat going for a few minutes and then we'll see you all soon. Love is the word. Okay?
I become alive before the sun things I've done. The healing vibrations rattle through my soul, shaking out the poisons, making me whole, casting out diseases by chanting the word. The sounds of the universe by all will be heard. Resonate inside us, love is the word. Now the day is done and moon is on the rise. My trials and tribulations all bottled up inside. I summon in the numb as I reach up for the skies.